Bo Bassett officially announced his top four: Penn State, Oklahoma State, Iowa, and Virginia Tech. Now, Penn State's still in the mix, but a lot of rumors are pointing to a different school.
You are Locked On Nittany Lions, your daily podcast on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And as always, thank you so much for making Locked On Nittany Lions your first listen and watch every single day. My name is Zach Seyko, and I'm your host of the show. And it is a live show once again as Bo Bassett went live himself on Flow Wrestling to officially announce his top four and announce when his commitment was actually going to be happening. I was under the impression that he was actually going to commit today, but it was just an announcement for his commitment announcement for tomorrow. So February 4th. So this timeline sped up really quickly, but let's get into what everybody is talking about online. And that, yes, Penn State, Oklahoma State, and Virginia Tech have made the Final Four along with Iowa. They are all still in the mix, and it doesn't seem like, at least based on the online discourse, that those schools have a legitimate chance. That it's boiling down to Iowa. Again, these are rumors, but we're here to discuss these things, have a conversation about it. And that the reason I did think it was interesting that this was a recruitment that was supposed to go on for a while, was supposed to be drawn out, was actually supposed to, at least the initial plan was for this to go into the summer. And then all of a sudden, it comes to a complete stop, comes to a halt. And now Bo Bassett is set to make a decision at the time of the show in just a matter of almost 24 hours, a little over that. I find it interesting that this happens on the heels of Penn State absolutely clobbering Iowa 30-8. What's also kind of interesting is the fact that Virginia Tech is included in this Final Four as well. But why I gave Rutgers a legitimate chance to be at least on the outside looking in, but that they have a shot, is because, well, Bo Bassett and Bo Bassett's family talked about how he wanted to be a difference maker for a program and not go to a historical program where it's just name after name after name. He really wanted to separate himself and kind of change the direction of a program and be that difference maker for somebody. Well, that's kind of off the table here unless he picks Virginia Tech. But again, the way that the rumors are pointing is that it's the Iowa Hawkeyes' race to lose at this point. Anything can change. Who knows? I'm just, like I said, I'm just kind of the messenger here. I unfortunately don't have any inside reports other than that it's what everybody's talking about, is that all signs are pointing to Iowa at this point in time. That Penn State, Oklahoma State, and Virginia Tech are still firmly in the mix, and never say never, right? I think that in this day and age of NIL, anybody can make a proposal that is worth your while. And so that's why you never can count out a school just because one thing says something, especially this is with football recruiting too, especially where you see it more often than not that all the directions are pointing towards a prospect ending up at this school, and then that doesn't happen. So those are rumors. There's rumored large sums of money. And this is something that I had discussed on the live show yesterday, that while these are rumors, it's not like Iowa hasn't done this before. So let's say that even though Penn State or Oklahoma State could be the destination at the end of the day, I truly don't believe that Virginia Tech, I think Virginia Tech is it's just kind of a participation trophy. But Penn State and Oklahoma State certainly have made the strongest pitch as far as training and what they're able to do as far as, international. I mean, David Taylor's taken over an Oklahoma State program that is on the right track to be in a position to at least try to challenge Penn State. Not afraid to admit that. Not trying to predict that Penn State's going to lose its top spot. But what I am saying is that Oklahoma State makes things a little more complicated. And of course, Penn State, Cale Sanderson, everything that they've done over the years. What is important to Bo Bassett more than just the collegiate experience. It's wrestling on the international stage as well and freestyle. So Penn State and Oklahoma State have that. Iowa's kind of gotten away from its RTC program. It is not as strong as what David Taylor is projecting Oklahoma State's to be and what Penn State's currently is. That's my opinion. Iowa people would probably disagree, right? But I think Penn State and what Oklahoma State is projecting out for RTC international wrestling is in a better spot than where Iowa is. So let's go back to, well, Iowa's just throwing around massive amounts of NIL dollars to make commitments. That is true. That in itself, that substance is true, because Iowa did that in the transfer portal. And there were rumors of this happening last recruiting cycle with these past recruiting classes, that Iowa is not afraid to throw around massive amounts of NIL money, because how did they build this team through the transfer portal, right? Mutual connections, just a firm handshake? No, there were some financial incentives and dollars at stake. So Iowa is going to be, I think that it's really down to a top three. No disrespect to Virginia Tech, Penn State, Iowa, Oklahoma State. Now Virginia Tech, again, in the age of NIL, why not count out the Hokies here? Because maybe they try to make it worth his while and everything else. And I'm not saying it's down to dollars per se, but I do find it interesting that this was supposed to be a recruitment that was drawn out over the summer. And then all of a sudden, Bo Bassett said it himself that he doesn't want to be distracted. And I can understand that, right? Dealing with a lot of different things as far as training, high school, competitions and what have you. But this is a big deal. It's not something that Penn State can't overcome, even though it's not looking the best right now for them. Never say never. However, be prepared if this does not go in the favor of the Penn State Nittany Lions here. I think that Penn State is still going to be Penn State's also in a great position, because something that I addressed in the live show yesterday talking about this is the fact that they have the likes of PJ Duke, Joe Seeley, a lot of these guys that are in the middle weights. You're also, Bo Bassett's not going to be somebody that is going to be a redshirt candidate. And if he goes to Penn State, this would be a sit and wait your turn type of scenario. I think that Iowa has plenty of open spots in those middle weights, at least and this is difficult to project out because so much can change. We are trying to project lineups for 2 years down the road to say that a true freshman, Bo Bassett, is he ready to go at this point in time? And at Penn State, that's tough to say when Tyler Kasak's going to be a senior. Shane Van Ness is going to be a redshirt senior. He will be in his 4th year of competition, of active competition. Same thing with Tyler Kasak. Never know about a redshirt. I doubt it at this point because he's an NCAA title contender, right? But that was a possibility once. It's still on the table there. Levi Haynes, for all we know, could use it, right? These Olympic red shirts that are still on the table. So we don't know. Circumstances change, but what logically says is that Bo Bassett doesn't have a spot in the starting lineup his first year at Penn State. Can't say the same at Iowa. Can't say the same at Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech. There are plenty of open spots where Bo Bassett would be one of the best wrestlers in the lineup, and that's where Penn State is, right? So we'll see how it all unfolds. All the directions, it's all pointing in the direction of Iowa. We'll see where it goes. And to wrap up this live, we'll talk about what Penn State can do as a contingency plan to offset. I mean, it is a big deal. You're losing not only Bo Bassett, Keegan Bassett is going to be a top-ranked wrestler in due time as well. I think he's only a true freshman, so we're talking about the class of 2026, 2028. But Penn State certainly has a backup plan. We'll talk about it more on the other side of this break. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. 1 game, 2 teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with the FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on all of the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place just a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, now that is icing on the cake. Download the app or head over to FanDuel.com to get started and bet just $5. And if you win that $5 bet, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's over at FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, an official partner of Super Bowl 59. And this is a live show, so your thoughts, your contributions are absolutely encouraged down in the comments section as well. And we can have a conversation about this overall. But I'll wrap it up pretty quickly because I'm actually getting ready to go over to Cale Sanderson's press conference where he will most likely be asked about it. And if he isn't asked about it, I'm certainly going to ask about Bo Bassett's recruitment because it has gone from 100 all the way down to 0, right? The decision is going to happen in the, according to Flow Wrestling, and evening time. They're going to stream it from his high school over in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, which is not too far from State College. So, but Penn State is in an ideal spot. Losing Bo Bassett, hypothetically, right? Anything could happen in the next 24 hours, but Penn State, Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, if Iowa is the supposed leader in this case, and the expectation is that he ends up with the Hawkeyes, then Penn State and Oklahoma State got to go back and say, okay, what is it going to take? Is it NIL? Is it a spot in the starting lineup, right? Penn State can't offer one of those things, certainly. But it also goes back to my point about success with honor and the fact that Penn State's not going to buy a national title team. Penn State is not going to buy this elite wrestling lineup. They are still going to stick with the game plan of you can have success, but do it with honor. And Iowa has completely almost done the reverse of that. With the way that they sold out on prospects, on wrestlers that weren't exactly ready to go this season, but would have been strong contenders year after year after year going into 26, 27. And they completely sold out on that future to get one and done transfers in the portal to finish second, maybe. I think Oklahoma State certainly has a case to finish second at the NCAA championships. So Iowa keeps trying to do all these different things to scramble, try to get aggressive, overly aggressive with NIL, just to still finish further behind. It's not like that was 30-8 on Friday in the Bryce Jordan Center. That wasn't, this was close. It came down to one bout. Penn State won 6, Iowa won 4, Penn State was 5-5, and bonus points were the difference. No. I don't think Iowa gets it. I really don't think they get it. I think that they feel that we can, in a sense, weaponize our finances to go and get other wrestlers out of the transfer portal and get them from other schools where they have made a name for themselves to try to compete and do these different things to bridge gaps in between certain wrestling prospects down the line. That's not how you do it. That's not how you build a program. That's how you build a free agent all-star team, but it's not long-term sustainable success. It also ruins relationships. It also ruins a common courtesy of respect and trust. Penn State's not going to do that. Penn State is not going to try to ruin a wrestler's career and push them into the transfer portal just because they're going to be honest, they're going to be transparent, they're going to be upfront. And that's why Penn State is getting even better, is getting even stronger in this day and age of NIL and the transfer portal, setting historical precedents with recruiting classes as it is. 2024 lightweight used to be an awful setup at 125, and frankly, the lower now Roman Bravo Young more recently, right now you have Braden Davis taking over and everything else. But 125, 133, especially 125, were basically, that was a punt weight for Penn State. And now Luke Lillidahl settles in, and Penn State figured it out. They have a legitimate chance to get, I think, at least 10 into the semifinals, and there is an opportunity, a path to get 10 into the championships for these NCAA finals. And even after that, okay, Carter Starachi, Greg Kirkfleet, all these guys are going to move on eventually, Bo Bartlett. And then it's the day and age of Marcus Blaze. And then it's Zach Ryder, the Mirasola twins. Eventually in 2026, Sam Herring, right? 2024 was an insanely talented class. 2025 builds off of that and reloads to basically strengthen the foundation. And now 2026 can really put them over the top. So losing Bo Bassett is not ideal because then, okay, Keegan Bassett might be off the table down the road. That, just kind of hurts for the future. These are top ranked wrestling recruits. What does that say about Jax Forrest? What does that say about Melvin Miller? Because the idea, the thought process that if you get Bo Bassett, and the timing is key now. Something I want to point out about timing is that now Bo Bassett, wherever he commits, if it does, so in fact, all signs point to Iowa, fine. But if it does happen to be Penn State, Oklahoma State, you can, at least Virginia Tech, you can say this, that Bo Bassett now has ample time to recruit fellow teammates. So you have that card in your deck now where Bassett becomes a recruiter for you. So all these guys are teammates. Jax Forrest, Melvin Miller, brother Keegan Bassett are all teammates at Bishop McCourt in Pennsylvania. You don't think that Bo Bassett is not going to recruit them and just say whatever school that he goes to, it's okay, make your own decision. No, it does become more of an uphill battle. Penn State has Sam Herring in the fold, which is fantastic. They still have the opportunity to build out for the class of 2026. They're going to get other top-ranked wrestlers. So it's not the end of the world because of where 24 and 25 are, and 26 is off to an incredible start because Sam Herring is one of the best pound-for-pound wrestlers in the entire country. But I will say, I would be remiss if I didn't admit that Penn State is in an uphill battle now if and when they don't happen to land Bo Bassett because of some of those other factors. It means that the recruitment for a Jax Forrest becomes more difficult. It means that the recruitment for a Melvin Miller becomes more difficult. But there are other options out there, and because of where Penn State is, they're going to be competitive one way or another on the recruiting landscape. So, eager to get Kelsey Anderson's thoughts this afternoon. Appreciate this comment. Zach, love your stuff. Listen to every morning at 5 a.m. Never get the chance to jump on a live until now. So Ryan, thank you so much for the comment. I really appreciate that. If anybody has any final words about Bo Bassett, where he's going to end up and everything else, any predictions, I really did think that in terms of the overall recruitment, it was Penn State and Oklahoma State because, hey, David Taylor was here for the longest time, M2 training facility. And it seemed like just because of where Oklahoma State is that they need prospects to relaunch the program. I'm not saying that Oklahoma State isn't an afterthought, right? They're there, but top 10, top 5 isn't good enough for them. They want to be on the same stage that Penn State is, where it's them and then everybody else. So David Taylor needs prospects like a Bo Bassett. They just landed a Drayshawn Ross, who's one of the top pound for pound. I think he's number 3. I think it's Bo Bassett, Jax Forrest, and then Drayshawn Ross, who they just landed and is going to be that heavyweight. Oh boy, Cole Mirasola just got some competition, but this is projecting so far out. This is the class of 2026 we're all talking about, thinking about, worrying about. It's because Bo Bassett has set the bar pretty high. And kudos to him. All the respect in the world to him. I think that he's earned a lot of this publicity and this attention because he is accomplishing things, and same with his teammates. They are defeating former All-Americans, wrestlers that are currently on the senior level, guys that have been doing this longer than them. And somehow it's 17 going into being 16, 17, 18 years old. They are better than the veterans of the sport. So they've certainly earned that and stuff. I don't think that it's ego driven or anything like that. You the success comes with the territory, right? The publicity is going to follow with it. That's going to do it for me here. I'm going to hit the road. Thought I'd jump on and do a quick live reaction to the official Final Four for Bo Bassett. If you don't know, he is set to commit tomorrow sometime in the evening from his high school on Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. Final Four schools: Penn State, Iowa, Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech. All the rumors say Iowa. I say in this day and age of NIL, never say never. We'll see. We'll see if Oklahoma State needs to make a push. I'd say that they need Bo Bassett's commitment more than anybody else, but it's certainly losing this caliber of a wrestler, this kind of recruit in the state of Pennsylvania would be a big deal for Penn State, but it's not something that they can't overcome. So that's where we'll finish it up here. Thank you so much. If you are new to the show, please subscribe to the YouTube channel wherever you get your podcast. Thank you for hanging out and spending a midday on a Monday with me here on Locked On Nittany Lions. We do this every day. We talk about more than just Penn State football. Talk about Penn State wrestling, Penn State basketball. It is your team every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your favorite Penn State teams every day here on Locked On Nittany Lions.